Identifiable origin, no match in NASA's records, and no scientific explanation. And now, with its antenna still pointed at Earth, Voyager is heading back or being pulled. What did it encounter in the darkness? What did it see that made it turn? To understand how extraordinary this moment truly is, we must return to the beginning. In 1977, NASA launched two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Originally designed to take advantage of a rare planetary alignment that occurs only once every 176 years, the mission was meant to perform a grand tour of the outer planets using the gravitational slingshot effect of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune to propel the probes deeper into the solar system. Voyager 1 was tasked with flying by Jupiter and Saturn, capturing the first-ever close-up images of their moons and rings. The images it sent back in the late 70s and early 80s redefined planetary science. Volcanoes erupting on Io, the complex ring structures of Saturn, the mysterious haze of Titan, and so much more astonished the scientific world and the public alike. These were not just pictures but revelations, evidence that our solar system was far more dynamic, violent, and beautiful than humanity had ever imagined. But once it had completed its planetary mission, Voyager 1 kept going. It passed beyond the orbit of Pluto, beyond the heliosphere, and into interstellar space, a region never before touched by human technology. With each passing year, it sent back less data, but held on to one unshakable purpose: to continue exploring. Even as its systems grew colder and weaker, even as the light from our sun became a memory rather than a presence, Voyager endured. For 4 decades, Voyager 1 transmitted signals back to Earth, mostly weak, heavily delayed packets of data about plasma density, magnetic fields, and cosmic rays. But on a quiet day, deep into its 46th year in space, its instruments registered something they had never detected before: a faint continuous hum buried within the plasma wave frequencies. At first, scientists believed it was interference or malfunction in the aging instruments. After all, the spacecraft was ancient by technological standards, built in the 1970s with hardware that now seemed primitive compared to the smartphones in our pockets. But when the same reading appeared repeatedly and was verified by multiple antennas in the deep space network, concerns grew. The sound resembled no known space phenomenon. It wasn't cosmic background radiation. It wasn't a solar flare. It wasn't coming from any direction they could triangulate. More hauntingly, it seemed to fluctuate in perfect mathematical intervals, like a message that wasn't meant to be heard, but recorded. For weeks, engineers and astrophysicists pored over the data, cross-referencing it with every known cosmic event, and still no explanation came. Then, without warning, Voyager 1 initiated a subtle but measurable change in its trajectory, a deviation no one at NASA had commanded. And just like that, the question changed from what did we hear to who or what heard us. Voyager 1 is powered by an aging radioisotope thermoelectric generator, and its ability to maneuver is limited to tiny adjustments through small thrusters which haven't been used in years. But telemetry confirmed it. The spacecraft had altered its orientation slightly, but definitively, as though adjusting to better see or align with something in deep space. Engineers scrambled to determine whether it was the result of a pre-programmed fallback behavior, perhaps an outdated line of code finally triggering due to a sensor anomaly, but the logs showed no such command. More perplexing was the fact that this course change placed Voyager's camera array, which had been shut down since the 1990 pale blue dot image, facing a direction toward which no celestial object was known to exist. The area in question had no stars visible to the naked eye, no galaxies catalogued, no gravitational anomalies recorded. So why point there? What had Voyager seen in its instruments? And why had it reoriented so precisely? At a distance of over 15 billion miles from Earth, there is no autopilot, no corrections, no assistance. And yet Voyager made a decision. Or so it seems. What followed in the weeks after the trajectory shift was, if possible, even more disturbing. Voyager 1's transmissions began arriving with subtle alterations. Minor distortions in signal timing and frequency that upon closer inspection revealed patterns embedded deep in the data stream. These were not transmission errors. They were intentional modulations repeating across multiple packets, forming complex sequences reminiscent of binary logic and harmonic resonance. Scientists at JPL consulted cryptographers, AI experts, and linguists. Some suggested these patterns might represent a form of response or recognition, as if Voyager was not just observing something, but being observed in return. The notion that the signal could be a two-way communication, one begun by Earth nearly 5 decades ago with the launch of the Golden Record, has raised unsettling possibilities. Could Voyager have encountered an intelligence that doesn't emit signals in our frequency bands, but instead uses gravitational waves, magnetic distortion, or some unknown medium to communicate? And if so, has that intelligence noticed us? Following the course correction and signal distortions, top-level meetings began to unfold behind closed doors. At Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, a select team of physicists, engineers, and mission veterans were summoned to review the anomaly. What was originally considered a minor deviation quickly turned into a heated debate among experts. Some argued it was a last gasp from a dying spacecraft, a final error, a misfire of failing hardware. But others, looking at the consistency of the altered signal and the precise directional change, suggested something far more alarming, that Voyager 1 might have encountered an unknown gravitational or electromagnetic phenomenon, or worse, that it was responding to something not naturally occurring. With each new data burst received, patterns became harder to ignore. Geometric ratios, symmetrical intervals, and harmonic feedback hinted at deliberate structure, as if something was mirroring or mimicking the probe's activity. The JPL team, torn between skepticism and awe, found themselves asking a question no space agency is ever truly prepared to answer. What do we do if this isn't random? As whispers of the data leak reached the wider scientific community, a wave of independent analysis emerged from universities and observatories around the world. Several prominent physicists proposed a radical theory that Voyager 1 may have entered a field of dark matter interaction or even brushed against a region of spacetime distortion, the kind hypothesized in the presence of massive gravitational anomalies or exotic astrophysical objects. But one paper in particular caused widespread discomfort. A group of AI researchers had used pattern recognition software to analyze the modified signal and found that it appeared to mirror aspects of the OESO message, the binary radio transmission humanity sent to the stars in 1974. Some of the sequences Voyager was now receiving had mathematical overlaps with that very message, raising the chilling possibility that some form of intelligence had received our signal and was now responding using Voyager as a relay. Was this a coincidence born of cosmic noise or a cosmic reply? When Voyager 1 was launched, Carl Sagan and a small team of scientists placed aboard it one of humanity's most iconic artifacts, the Golden Record. A copper disc coated in gold containing greetings in 55 languages, music from multiple cultures, and scientific diagrams intended to introduce Earth and its inhabitants to any life form that might one day find it. Most thought of it as symbolic, a romantic gesture more than a real attempt at communication. But now, with Voyager showing signs of deviation and possible interaction, attention has turned back to that record. Some now speculate whether the information on it may have been decoded or interpreted by something Voyager passed near. After all, the diagrams include detailed maps of Earth's location relative to known pulsars. If anything, or anyone understood it, then Voyager 1 isn't just a relic. It's a beacon, and it has been carrying our coordinates for nearly half a century. If that beacon was heard, the implications are staggering. Not just scientifically, but for the future of human security and existence. As more layers of data are decoded and the signal continues to evolve, internal documents from NASA suggest a quiet shift in protocol. Project members have reportedly been instructed to cease speculation about non-natural causes in official communications and instead classify the event under data anomaly review. But off the record, some insiders admit they're deeply disturbed because what Voyager seems to be experiencing doesn't match any known astrophysical behavior. For decades, Voyager was thought of as a silent traveler, a machine that would drift endlessly into the void until its nuclear heart finally cooled and its voice grew too faint to be heard. But now, with signals bending into deliberate structures and maneuvers no one had ordered, the mission has entered a new and terrifying chapter. The Golden Record, once dismissed by many as a symbolic gesture, is no longer just a time capsule of human culture. It may be functioning as a key, an open invitation to anyone capable of unlocking it. The implications are profound. If Voyager 1 has indeed been intercepted, then humanity's first true contact with intelligence beyond Earth has already happened, not through an encounter in our skies or on some alien planet, but in the silence of deep space, carried on a machine that was never meant to return. If the altered signals represent communication, the question becomes, is this a dialogue, or a warning? Are we witnessing the first handshake across the stars, or the first move in a game we do not understand? Inside NASA, the tension is palpable. Engineers who once regarded the probe as an aging relic now treat its every packet of data with religious intensity. Specialists in cryptography pore over the harmonic intervals and binary-like modulations, testing them against mathematical constants, pi, the Fibonacci sequence, prime numbers, searching for universal language. At the same time, Policy advisors whisper about the dangers of openly declaring what has been found. The public may not be ready to hear that something, or someone, has possibly answered a message humanity sent into the dark 50 years ago. To grasp the gravity of the situation, one must remember that the Golden Record was never encrypted. It contained no safeguards, no protections, no disguises. The maps etched onto its surface describe exactly how to find Earth using pulsars as signposts, their unique frequencies serving as cosmic GPS markers. It was, as Carl Sagan envisioned, a message of goodwill to the universe. But to others, looking at it now, it seems more like a flare fired into the unknown, illuminating not just our existence but our location. If another intelligence has seen it, then they know where we are, and perhaps they know more than that. The altered signals have become increasingly complex. At first, they were faint distortions in timing, almost indistinguishable from static. Then came deliberate repetitions, harmonic intervals too precise to dismiss. Now, entire packets appear to arrive in sequences that suggest structured information. Some experts believe we are watching an ongoing attempt at dialogue, with Voyager acting as a translator or relay, caught in the middle of a conversation that is unfolding across a medium we barely understand. Others fear something more unsettling, that the spacecraft